As Paul is describing these benefits that we have in being in Jesus Christ, he is saying we have access to the grace of God because we have a new standing with God. And he gives us in this standing the riches of his grace. Just think about this. Everything you need to please God, everything you need to enjoy God, everything you need to love God, everything you need to know God, everything you need to trust God, everything you need to fight sin, everything you need to resist every temptation that will be thrown your way this week. God says, I have given you a standing in grace by which you can please me, by which your faith can grow strong, because we have a standing with God. Just stop and think about your week that's to come. Maybe you know of some meeting at work that you're not looking forward to. God says you have access. You're sitting at my table. You have access to all the riches of my grace. Whatever you need for that meeting you fear, you have it. I've given it to you so that in that meeting you can be pleasing to me. God says that. Think of whatever you're facing this week. You say, I got this huge exam this week. God says, I give you the grace that you need for that. What is it? God says, you have it in Jesus Christ. No longer is he against you, he's for you. No longer are you his enemy, you're his child, you're seated at his table to enjoy his riches. And let's remember, when we talk about the riches of God, we're not talking about a new car. I mean, maybe that's what you need this week in order to please God. You need to get to work, and your last car gave up the ghost, and so we could trust the promises of God to provide in some way. But let's understand, these riches, when people get off on these riches of God as if it's stuff, how silly is that? It's not a bigger house. It's not nicer clothes. It's the riches of his glory in Christ, the riches of his grace to stand, to please him, to live in his joy and in his peace and in his wisdom. It is to be able to relish the hope of your eternal inheritance in Jesus Christ.